Bringing the attention to the posture. Really settling into the cushion or the chair. Allowing the spine to lift gently out of the pelvis. And like the stem of a flower, letting the spine be strong and upright. Flexible and gentle. Allowing the head to rest on top of the spine, letting the crown grow toward the ceiling. And allowing the arms to drop softly from the shoulders, letting the hands be in the lap. Bringing the attention to the mind and the heart. And following this same basic formula, letting the mind and heart lift energetically, with confidence, while at the same time being open and soft and receptive. Being open and soft and receptive can feel exceedingly difficult. But we can have confidence in the goodness that we're doing, in the goodness that we're cultivating, just by being here, just by holding this space for ourselves and others. There's so much joy and goodness. There's so much energy and generosity. And so much confidence that can be built in the cultivation of this meditation practice and following this path. Independence. If we have the courage to look at our own minds and hearts in a clear and unblinking way, we can have the courage to do anything. So as we move into silent meditation, remember to drop your anchor. What is it that will bring you back to the present moment? Back to being with the conditions just as they are. It could be the sense of the breath in the heart or belly, the sense of the breath at the nose, the slight swaying movement of the entire body. A word or a mantra. Peace, peace, peace. Buddho, Buddho. Awake, awake. And every time the mind wanders off into thinking or ruminating into past and future, remember to bring it back to the mantra, and when you do, or back to the anchor, and when you do, especially those who are new to the practice or having a rough patch in the practice, whose concentration has been difficult lately, when you remember, that is a moment of being awake. And that is a moment worth celebrating. And if you celebrate, if you enjoy that moment, if you appreciate yourself, then we'll be more likely to do it again and again and again. Positive reinforcement is a foundation in the practice. If we're going to tell ourselves a story anyway about how we are or what we're doing, it might as well be one that is true and feels great. So let's try that. I'm at a loss for words this week, but that's okay. Because there are 84,000 suttas, so we'll have something to play with. All right, but first, a word from Ajahn Chah. I've already laid down the schedule and rules of the monastery. Don't transgress the existing standards. Anyone who does is not one who has come with a real intention to practice. What can such a person ever hope to see? Even if he slept near me every day, he wouldn't see me. Even if he slept near the Buddha, he wouldn't see the Buddha if he didn't practice. I'd like to read a sutta. It's pretty famous. Many of you, I'm sure, have heard of it or heard it before. It's a wonderful parable and analogy. The blind man and the elephant. Fans? Okay. Fan favorite? Okay. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's park. Now at that time, a number of ascetics and Brahmins, wanderers of other sects, were living around Savatthi. They held various views, beliefs, and opinions, and propagated various views. And they were quarrelsome, disputatious, wrangling, wounding each other with verbal darts, saying, the Dhamma is like this, the Dhamma is not like that. The Dhamma is not like this, the Dhamma is like that. Then a number of monks entered Savatthi on alms round. Having returned after their meal, they approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down to one side, and told him what they had seen. The Blessed One said, monks, wanderers of other sects are blind and sightless. They do not know what is beneficial and harmful. They do not know what is the Dhamma and what is not the Dhamma. And thus they are so quarrelsome and disputatious. And the Dhamma, as an aside, is a lot of things. You know, it has a number of sort of translations. The Dhamma is the Buddha's teaching, so this particular path that we're following, some of you might be familiar with it, some of you might not. This might be your first day hearing the word Dhamma. But Dhamma is also often translated and worth translating as all things, or all conditioned phenomenon, or reality. So reality The Buddha is not saying they don't know my teachings, or he might be saying they don't know my teachings, but he's also saying they don't understand reality. They don't see the full picture. There's not clarity and agreement among them about what is real. Something's going on. Formerly, Mike, who else is this old? Okay. Not old enough to have a permanent solution. But formerly, monks, there was a king in Savatthi who addressed a man and asked him to round up all the persons in the city who were blind from birth. When the man had done so, the king asked the man to show the blind men an elephant. To some of the blind men, he presented the head of the elephant, to some the ear, to others a tusk, the trunk, the body, a foot, the hindquarters, the tail, or the tuft at the end of the tail. And to each one he said, "This is an elephant." When he reported to the king what he had done, the king went to the blind men and asked them, "Tell me, blind men, what is an elephant like?" Those who had been shown the head of the elephant replied, "An elephant, your majesty, is just like a water jar." Those who had been shown the ear replied, "An elephant is just like a winnowing basket." Those who had been shown the tusk replied, "An elephant is just like a plowshare." Those who had been shown the trunk replied, "An elephant is just like a plow pole." And those who had been shown the body replied, "An elephant is just like a storeroom." And each of the others likewise described the elephant in terms of the part they had been shown. Then saying, "An elephant is like this, an elephant is not like that, an elephant is not like this, an elephant is like that," they fought each other with their fists. So it was verbal darts. But then the king got involved, and they're fighting with fists after having walked through this exercise. And the king was delighted. "Even so, monks, are the wanderers of other sects blind and sightless, and thus they become quarrelsome, disputatious, and wrangling, wounding each other with verbal darts." So that's a good one. And it doesn't, require much interpretation. But to live it is something else entirely. We can understand, we're smarties, we can understand these things intellectually. I like to say doesn't matter. We can understand these things intellectually, but coming to a place in our lives where we can really embody the interest and wholesome desire for clarity, clear judgment, and harmony, that is a lifetime's work. Because, first you have to want it. We have to want to be clear. We have to want to get the full picture. And we have to be patient as it's being revealed to each of us in different ways, at different times, through different means. And it's really important to not believe what we see, especially when we're being shown it. by an unreputable source. And so with this practice, we're learning to trust what we're embodying. So we're embodying an interest in harmony, and we're embodying a desire for clarity. This being in community with patience and kindness and wholesomeness and all of that. And then we're looking to see, how does that feel? Not what do you think, or what do you think, or what do you think, but how does that feel? It feels good. I feel more balanced. I feel more confident. I feel more courageous. I feel more whole. When I'm seeing things clearly and holding them lightly. Because I don't, it's hard to really know, isn't it? Like yesterday, I got together with a friend. Where's Kristen? Celine Fitzmaurice's brother. Oh, yeah. Mutual friend. I got together with a really old friend. We hadn't seen each other for almost 20 years. We worked together and lived together, something like that. And I had memories that he did not remember. He said he would trust me. I was very convincing. And this memory that I had of him, or some time we spent together at work on the job of this one particular task we were doing, was very affecting to me and sort of cemented him as a person worth knowing forever, And he was like, oh, I don't remember it, but I believe you. And that was fine, And then he remembered some things about my life or my friends or my relationships that I sort of remembered, but I hadn't thought of in a long time, and I had remembered them differently. I had been telling a certain story a certain way for many years, thinking it was this certain way, but then here's this fellow from out of the past remembering it slightly differently. We didn't come to verbal darts or throwing hands. Not at all. Why? Because there was goodwill there, right? A million reasons. Well, why? Because who cares? Why? Because we were telling which are totally unreliable. Totally unreliable. But we stand on them like they are the foundation of everything that is real and right and true. Our past, other people's past, they're like this. Even if we have a memory about someone and they've totally changed, that memory still colors what we think about them. It still colors whether we want to be near them or have anything to do with them. It still colors our relationship, which is natural and which is part of our safety and protective mechanism that we need. But think about where we are right now. Think about this practice itself. If this practice wasn't improving on yesterday me, there would be no point to it. If I wasn't different than I was 20 years ago, why would I even do this? I mean, the Buddha said, I would not teach this path if it did not work. So, we can give ourselves, first of all, the benefit of the doubt. I can say that I'm still like that, or a certain way, or unchangeable, or DNA, or whatever. I can tell myself all these stories about myself, most of them which are generally negative. Like, why am I such a gossip about me? So rude. Or I can get the bigger picture. That's the elephant's tail. But today, if I look, if I pay attention, if I give myself some grace, I can see the whole elephant. There's clarity. Some work has been done. I'm here-ish, now-ish. Okay, that's good enough. That's a good enough story. And we can do that for other people too, if we want to, if it's useful, not putting someone here and doing our level best to hold them here, which we do. We do. Parents, friends, former teachers, whatever, former relationships. No, they're like this. They're like this. And we just don't know. And, that's okay. We don't know. Maybe they are still this. But you can't be, right? Like, if you want to get, really molecular about it, like something has changed. Something, right? Maybe they've eaten some yogurt and they have new gut bacteria and their personality has shifted slightly. I mean, we don't know. And doing these kind of extrapolative mental exercises can be useful to a point. Can get us started. It can get us unhitched, from our attachment to the way we think things are. But really, the work is here. So whether that person's changed or not, I might be changing. I might have more capacity. I might be less permeable or more permeable, depending on what's useful in the scenario. I might be able to hold this or them or that situation or this memory in a totally different way. I have to open my eyes to it and see it. I have to look at it clearly and interact with it, engage with it. I won't know unless I do that. But I could try, give it a whirl. Okay, what has moved? What has changed? What's the same? Where is there more work to be done? Whose work is it? Whose work is it? So, I'll keep it short today, and so we can get to some questions or comments if we want to. But I think, it's a very straightforward, almost a children's story, the parable of the elephant, But it's worth keeping in mind that at any one given time, most of us are seeing a piece, a part of ourselves, a part of our story, a part of somebody else's self, a part of somebody else's story, a snapshot, a blip. I really like the term timeline. In this timeline, it's a slice of reality. But the Buddha asked us to see all of reality. If we can move in that direction, we'll be happier.